Suicide? Self-harm? Well, this is my story. Hey guys, well, this video is going to be mostly about suicide, self-harm, and my story. From a really young age, I've been picked on. I've been picked on a lot. I've been picked on because I'm chubby, because I don't have hair, just the little things. And I'm not trying to be sexist, but the little things really get to girls. Like, calling a girl fat, I mean, that hurts. Calling a girl ugly, that really hurts. And I honestly don't think anybody could really be ugly. I mean, you can act ugly, but nobody's literally ugly. But this is my story, and from a young age, I used to be really tiny. I used to be like this itty bitty little thing, and now I weigh more than I should, and I don't like it. But whose fault is it? It's mine, and I have to live with that, and I'm gonna change it. But I guess this year it's going to be 7 years ago, I shaved my head because I have a condition called alopecia. I found my first bald spot on Easter 2006. Went to a dermatologist. They told me I had alopecia. I praised God every day that I didn't have cancer. And knowing I had alopecia, knowing I was going to most likely lose all my hair, I was petrified. I was young. I was like, I'm a girl. I shouldn't lose my hair. My hair was my everything, like any girl. And I learned to live with it. I shaved my head November 11th, 2006, I believe. Yeah, 2006. I think it was November 13th. I don't know, but I shaved my head in November. My brother, who is my hero, he shaved his head. He bicked his head just like mine. My cousin did it to make a statement, to prove to people that just because you don't have hair doesn't make you less of a person. But this really got to me. I didn't have hair. I was in 6th grade. People made fun of me. People were like, oh, you have cancer, you have cancer. Even if I had cancer, it's not something to make fun of somebody for. Middle school, that was tough. But my 6th grade year, I got pulled out of school and homeschooled. My mom homeschooled me for the rest of the year. I then did Connections Academy. Was going to do that for my 7th grade year, but they were more advanced, so I had to repeat my 6th grade year. Which sometimes I get made fun of. Oh, you're supposed to be a senior, you're supposed to be graduating this year, but I mean, it helped me in the long run. I decided I was gonna go to middle school. I was gonna wear a wig. I had ones that glued onto my head where I could go swimming, I could take a shower in them. That was cool, but it wasn't me. My 8th grade year, I wore just regular wigs. And if you've ever worn a wig, you know they are not comfortable whatsoever. They itch, they get hot, you get sweaty, it's gross. But I believe it was my 7th grade year. I was bullied. I turned to self-harm, and I started cutting myself. I started cutting myself on my wrists. I started cutting myself on my hips, on my ankles, on my thighs. It was hard. It was hard to keep it from people. I wore bracelets. I had my little rave candy. That was the big thing. I wore them up to here on both wrists to hide my scars, my cuts, my everything. I would be disgusted with myself. Honestly, it was an adrenaline rush doing it, but afterwards you feel like absolute shit. And I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And I did it until my sophomore year of high school. Or the end of my freshman year, I'm sorry. But I decided I was gonna go to high school. No wigs. Gonna go as me, as who I am. And I did. And I was still cutting. I still wanted to be dead. I hated the world. I hated everything about it. I hated everybody. I was like, this is nothing. I'm a rebellious teenager. I'm gonna hate everybody. I'm gonna hate me. I hated everything. And no one could help me. I wouldn't listen to anybody. I was like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm cutting myself. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna kill myself. And I've had points where I've wanted to. I've tried to suffocate myself. I've had a knife to my throat. I mean, and to know people have gone through the same thing I have, it kills me inside. I wouldn't wish depression on anybody because I have it. I was sent to West Hills for a week my freshman year of high school because I finally told somebody, I was like, I want to kill myself. I can't deal with this. I don't want to be living. I was sent to West Hills and got help, I guess. I mean, I was so pissed off at the world. I was me, and that's who I was. I was one to want to kill myself. I was one to want to hurt myself. I hurt people by hurting myself, and that kills me inside. And I honestly, if I could take it back, I would. But I've learned from it. And I do regret cutting, and I don't regret a lot of things because you learn from your mistakes. But I regret it. I had to look my mom in the eyes and tell her I hated myself and I wanted to kill myself. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I had to do the same thing to my grandma. And I think it was really hard saying that to my grandma because my grandma was my rock. My grandma was my everything. And she was taken from us January 10th. And that killed me inside, but she fought 11 months to be alive. And I think, I look back on it, and I was like, I was selfish enough to try to take my own life when she was taken from us. I was selfish enough to be stupid and cut myself and want to die when I had an amazing family behind me and I had amazing friends behind me. I had friends trying to stop me, and I looked at them and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I'm like, you guys are stupid. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. When deep inside, I wanted help, but I didn't know how to get it. I didn't want people looking at me and saying, oh, she's the one that cuts herself, guys. She's the one that doesn't want to be alive. She's an outcast. When I'm already an outcast. I'm the one that doesn't have hair. I'm the chubby kid. I mean, it's stuff you have to live with. And I'm living with it. And now I have to deal with my decisions and my mistakes that I've made in the past. I have to live with the scars. The ones on my wrists you can barely see, but the ones on my hips are bad, and I have to live with that. And it kills me every day knowing that I hurt my family, knowing I've had them up at night thinking, am I going to be able to see her in the morning? Am I going to walk into her room in the morning and she's going to be laying there dead? Like, I've put my family through that, and that makes me feel like absolute shit. And I mean, for anybody out there who is going through self-harm, depression, bipolar, suicidal thoughts, I want you to know that, like, this is stereotypical, but honestly, it gets better. Taking your own life is a selfish way out, and it's honestly not worth it. If I could go back to the first day I cut myself, I would change it. I would go to somebody and I would say, help. I don't know what I'm doing, but my wrist is bleeding, and I didn't know what to do. I sat there and I watched myself bleed. I didn't know what to do. And for people who are going through that right now, I want you all to know it's not the right thing. It's seriously not, and if you can get help, do it. I know a lot of people, like myself, don't tell people what's going on. They like to keep it bottled up, and then when you keep it bottled up, you explode. And that's what happened to me. I literally exploded, and I didn't know what to do except for hurt myself. It was a wrong decision, and I wish I never did it, but I did it. So if you have the chance to get help, do it. Like, you may not know me, or you may know me, but I'm here for everybody. And that was one of my big things. I would have everybody's problems on top of mine, but I like it that way. I like knowing I help people. I like not really having to look back and know my problems. If I can push mine aside, then that makes me feel better. So if any of you need somebody to talk to, somebody to cry to, message me on Facebook, message me on YouTube, do a video response, something. But I just want you all to know, suicide is not the answer, self-harm is not the answer. It's an addiction. It honestly is. And it's a hard one to get out of. And it took me hurting several people to understand that it was an addiction and that I needed help. But if you have the chance, then get out. And if you know people that are trying to commit suicide or self-harming or anything like that, try to talk them out of it. Try to be there for them. And if you don't know what to do, just seriously let them just sit there and cry with them. That's the easiest thing you can do for somebody, is just let them cry. And yeah, well, that's most of my story. I might post more about it, but yeah, that's pretty much my story. I haven't self-harmed in a really long time. And there's been times I've wanted to. I've honestly wanted to. I've honestly wanted to take my life, but I haven't. And I haven't because I look back and see all the people that I've hurt. I have little kids. I have sisters. I have cousins that look up to me. And if I were to do that, I know they would think less of me. But their parents would tell them not to. But I mean, I need to be there for them. And I'm their role model, so I need to stand up and I need to be an adult about it, and I need to do what's right and show them that that's not the right way to live your life. And yeah, well, I don't know. That's pretty much my story. So, like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm out.